Hi guys, it's Mrs. Evans. Today we're going to read Chapter 13 from Everest, Book 3, The Summit. It didn't register at first. What's happening? The ridge goes up, not down. At that moment, Sneezy threw his arms around the youngest climber ever to summit the world's tallest mountain. Tilt grabbed the guide's wrist and checked the number on the altimeter. 29,028. It didn't get any higher than that, not on this planet. The surge of joy that rose up in him reminded him of the depiction of a supernova that he'd once seen in a planetarium show. An explosion of white light growing in intensity as it radiated outward in waves. He had done it. At this altitude, he had trouble wrapping his oxygen-deprived mind around the fact that he wasn't the same person who had awoken at the Col 11 hours ago. He was now living the very first minute of the rest of his life. He scanned the panorama, with the whole world literally at his feet. The old Tilt Crowley, that ninth-grade nobody from Cincinnati, the one who earned money by delivering papers, he didn't exist anymore. Tilt was famous, a celebrity, a star. He was going to be rich. Sneezy was shouting into the walkie-talkie. "We're here, Cap! We're on the summit, right now!" "How's Tilt?" came Cicero's voice. Strong, really strong. He led the step like a pro. "Where are you guys?" "I'm at Camp 4, Cicero reported. Perry took a dive." "Is he okay?" "Couple of broken ribs, Andrea says. Nothing serious. Sammy and Babu are on the southeast ridge. Let me talk to the kid." The 14-year-old was still wild with excitement. "Cap, it's amazing! You've got to see it!" "I've been," came the amused reply. "Now listen up. Andrea's already on the sat phone to Colorado. You're going to be in all the papers tonight. You ate this mountain for breakfast." "Thanks, Cap. I know you feel like you're done for the day," the team leader went on, "but here's some advice you'd better take. A lot of climbers can get up that rock. The trick is to get yourself down again. So take your pictures, enjoy the view. Then get your butt back on the ridge because you're only halfway there." "Gotcha," replied Tilt. Nothing, not even Cicero's nagging, was going to spoil this moment for him. He watched as Sneezy attempted to unfurl a Summit Athletic Corporation flag in the battering gale. From his apparently bottomless knapsack, the guide produced a telescoping aluminum flagpole. The two of them planted it in the snowpack next to the half-buried survey rod they marked the peak. Summit Quest. Tilt had almost forgotten that he was part of an expedition. One that was an official success now that it had placed a member on the summit. A lot of credit would be claimed over this. By Perry's uncle, whose brainchild it was. Tony Devlin, who handled the business end. Cap Cicero, who led the team. "Take your bows, guys. I'm at the top, and I don't see any of you here." This victory belonged to Tilt Crowley. Babu put the walkie-talkie back in his windsuit pocket and turned to Sammy, behind him on the ridge. That was Cap. Lenny and Tilt are on the summit. Sammy was astonished. Already? The two had been delayed by Perry's accident. They were barely beyond the balcony. "Go, guys." They flew. "They made good time," Babu agreed, "but mostly, we're way behind schedule." "Then what are we waiting for?" She increased her pace and pushed past him, gasping into her mask. "Sammy!" He had to scramble to keep up with her. "You know, Cap put a 2 o'clock turnaround on us." The turnaround meant simply this. If you weren't on the top by 2 p.m., it was too late to keep climbing. At that time, all team members had to head back down to Camp 4, regardless of their position on the mountain. If they did not, they would end up descending in the dark at a time when their headlamp batteries would be most likely to fail. "It's not 2 o'clock yet," said Sammy tight-lipped. "If you climb too fast, you'll burn yourself out," he warned. He tried to grin, but through the pain of her effort, it came out a grimace. "Come on, Babu. You know me. I've only got one speed." And Babu did know her. Over the past 2 months, he had come to admire the girl's tenacity and fearlessness. But he also knew Everest. Perry's accident had cost them a lot of time. To make up that time, they would need determination, skill, and luck. Babu Pimba had been in this game long enough to realize that very few climbers could count on having all three at the same time. Ethan and Dominic were approaching 28,000 feet when they first saw the two specks descending the southeast ridge above them. Ethan looked at his watch. It was only 10:30 a.m. If those dots in the snow were coming from the peak, then they were climbing at near record pace. He frowned. Did the Germans send an early summit party? Dominic shook his head. That has to be Tilt and Sneezy. I'll bet they made it. Probably, Ethan agreed. Tilt never did take no for an answer. He grinned. I guess that means I'm not important anymore. As the ascending and descending pairs closed the gap, Dominic could see that the lead climber above, probably Tilt, was moving strongly. His partner was having a much tougher time. Every 2 or 3 steps, Sneezy would slump on his ice axe to snatch a few seconds of rest. He wasn't in danger, exactly, but he wasn't doing well. Half an hour later, the two teams passed. Dominic pretended to lean forward into his climb, keeping his face averted. He didn't want Sneezy to recognize him and alert Cicero. He needn't have worried. The cameraman was so exhausted that he never moved his gaze from the narrow path in front of him. Tilt, too, seemed content to let Dominic keep his secret. He confirmed their summit success with a single thumbs up and exchanged a high five with Ethan, the new record holder accepting the torch from the old. Ethan put an arm around Sneezy and hugged the older man briefly. 1 foot in front of the other, Lenny. That's all you have to do. The guide could only grunt his acknowledgement and plod on. Powering past, Tilt felt a pang of guilt. Zaff and the shrimp seemed genuinely happy for him. He almost turned around to warn Dominic that he was about to run out of oxygen, but fought the impulse down. Tilt was only in this generous mood because he now held the record. If the shrimp somehow managed to get his hand on a spare bottle of gas and made it to the top, Tilt's name in the spotlight was going to be very short. He reached out an arm to steady Sneezy, who was wobbling. Thanks, the cameraman panted. Hey, was that Zaff? That was him, Tilt confirmed, the second youngest kid ever to summit Everest. Climbing with Pasang, right? Sneezy persisted, trying to create order out of his jumbled thoughts. Yeah, Pasang, right?